Friday night, 7:32 p.m. We're sitting at this long IKEA table we bought because it looked grown up in the showroom, and Amanda puts her fork down like she's ending a conversation she's been rehearsing all day. "My ex used to spoil me," she says. "You don't." Not loud, not dramatic, just clean and sharp, like she's stating a fact on a form. The room goes quiet in that way a place gets quiet when you realize you've been living in it without hearing it. The fridge hum. The neighbor's bass through the wall. The little click of her nail tapping her water glass. I'm staring at a receipt from the takeout bag like it's evidence. $14.27 for my burger and fries. I don't even like the fries from that place. I bought them because she said she was craving something salty. 5 weeks from our wedding. 5 weeks from everyone we know watching us smile and promise forever. And the person I'm supposed to marry is comparing me to a guy who's not even in the room. I could have reacted 100 ways. I could have gotten loud. I could have gotten petty. I could have said something that would have stayed with us like a bad smell. Instead, I asked one question. "What did Trevor buy you last week?" The name hung there. Her lips parted like she was about to laugh it off, but no sound came out. Her eyes flicked to my phone on the table like it had just turned into a weapon. "How do you know his name?" she whispered. "Because I'd never said it. Not once. She'd never said it either, not around me. She always called him my ex, like he was a concept, not an actual person who still existed in the world." Her hands started shaking. She grabbed her glass and knocked it over, soaking the stack of RSVP cards we'd been addressing. The ink bled like the paper was drowning. And that's when I felt it in my gut, not like a suspicion, but like a door opening. There are moments where you realize you're not asking questions to understand anymore. You're asking questions to confirm what you already know. I didn't even pick up my phone right away. I just leaned back in my chair and watched her scramble with paper towels, apologizing to the cards like the cards were the problem. "It was a joke," she said too fast. "I didn't mean it like that." I nodded slowly. "Okay." That single word, "okay," should have relieved her. It didn't, because she knew I wasn't talking about the comment. I was talking about Trevor. I stood up and walked to the kitchen sink, turned the faucet on and let the water run. I needed the noise. I needed something ordinary in the room, something that wasn't her breathing turning shallow. "Amanda," I said, still facing the sink, "what did he buy you last week?" She went quiet for a beat, then she tried to push it into the safe zone. "Why are you asking me that?" "Because you said he spoiled you," I said. "So I'm curious. What did he buy you last week?" "I haven't talked to him," she said. That's the thing about a lie when it's said in a calm voice. People think calm means believable. I turned off the water. The silence snapped back into place. I walked back to the table, pulled my chair out and sat down. Then I did something I'm not proud of, but I'm not ashamed of either. I slid my phone toward her. On the screen was a notification from our shared wedding email. One we made together, one we agreed would be the grown-up place. All wedding stuff went so nothing got lost. A receipt, a payment confirmation, from a florist, a deposit, paid, not by me, not by her. The email read, "Thank you, Trevor, for your payment." Her face drained so fast it looked like someone turned her brightness down. She swallowed, and it made a small sound that I still remember. That's not," she started. "So you have talked to him," I said. She shook her head like she could shake the truth right off her. "He offered. It was just, he said he wanted to help." "Help," I repeated. I don't think I've ever hated a word more in my life than help in that moment, because it came wrapped in fake innocence. I pictured him, some guy named Trevor, out there smiling while my fiancée let him buy pieces of our wedding like he still had a claim to her life. She sat back and crossed her arms like she was bracing for impact. "You've been so stressed about money. I didn't want to bother you." That made me laugh once, short and empty. "So you bothered him." "It's not like that," she said. "It's not romantic. It's not anything. He knows what I like." And that was the detonator right there. He knows what I like. Not, "You know what I like." Not, "We're building a life." He knows what I like. I felt something crack in my chest that I didn't know could crack. It wasn't heartbreak yet. It was worse. It was humiliation. Because suddenly I wasn't her partner in building a future. I was her budget option. I stayed calm though. I stayed calm because I didn't want her to be able to say later that I lost it. I didn't want this to become a story where I was the unstable one. I asked, "How much did he pay?" She hesitated. That hesitation was loud. "How much?" I asked again. "$600, she said. I blinked. $600. "It's a deposit," she said quickly. "It's not the whole thing." "So he paid $600 toward our wedding," I said, tasting each word. "And you didn't tell me." She leaned forward, voice rising now. "Because you would have freaked out." I nodded, still calm. "Yes, I would have freaked out. That's why you didn't tell me." She threw her hands up like I was being unreasonable. "It's a wedding. Things cost money. You've been acting like buying decent flowers is some kind of crime." That right there. That's the villain you don't see coming at first. It's not just a person. It's an attitude. It's the way someone treats your effort like it's a deficiency. For months, I'd been working overtime at my job. I'm not a billionaire. I'm a normal guy who pays rent, buys groceries, tries to put money aside without pretending I'm a finance influencer. We had a budget, a real one. Numbers on a spreadsheet. We agreed on it in January over coffee, feeling proud of ourselves. And yet, every week there was something else. A must-have welcome sign. A cute champagne wall. Upgraded chair covers because the basic ones were sad. A dessert table because people expect it. Every time I asked where we were on the budget, she'd say, "We're fine." Every time I offered to make cuts, she'd say, "Why do you have to make everything about money?" I thought it was wedding stress. I thought it was normal. I did not think she was quietly filling the gap by reaching back into her past. I asked her, "What else did he pay for?" She frowned, like she was offended I'd even ask. Nothing. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just held her gaze. She broke first. "Okay," she muttered. "He paid for the florist deposit and the invitations." My throat went tight. The invitations were $480. She looked away. "Yeah, so he paid for those too." She lifted her chin, trying to turn it into a moral thing. "He wanted to. He said it made him feel better." "And you let him," I said. "You're acting like I cheated," she snapped. I stared at her. "You're letting your ex finance our wedding behind my back. What do you think that is?" Her eyes flashed. "It's help. It's not like he's coming to the wedding." I almost said, "How do I know that?" But I didn't want to give her new ideas. Instead, I asked the question that mattered more. "Why is he still in your life?" She hesitated again. Then she said the most brutal thing she could have said, like she didn't even realize it. "Because he doesn't make me feel guilty for wanting nice things." There it was. Not because I'm afraid of him. Not because he won't leave me alone. Not because I made a mistake. Because he doesn't make me feel guilty. Meaning I did. Meaning in her head, I was the guy who made her feel small for wanting what she wanted. Even though all I'd been doing was trying to make sure we didn't start our marriage in debt for the sake of a photo op. I sat there, and I swear I could feel the future shifting away from me. Like a train leaving the station while you stand on the platform holding a ticket that no longer matters. I got up and went into the bedroom. I didn't slam doors. I didn't shout. I grabbed the binder we kept in the closet. The wedding binder she bought with tabs and little gold labels. I brought it back to the table and opened it. "Let's look at it," I said. "All of it." She stared at me like I was crazy. "What are you doing?" "I'm doing what we should have been doing," I said. "I want to know where we are." She tried to stop me, reaching for the binder. "Not right now." I pulled it back. "Right now." And then I started flipping. Photographer contract, venue contract, caterer, DJ. The numbers were familiar. But then I got to a section I didn't recognize. A folder pocket labeled Extras. Inside were printed invoices. Not just ideas, not Pinterest screenshots. Invoices. A luxury photo booth, $200. Custom neon sign, $650. Upgraded floral arch, $2,800. My mouth went dry. She started talking fast again. "Those are just quotes. I held up a paper. "This one says, paid." She froze. I looked down at the signature line on the payment receipt. Trevor. I didn't even feel anger first. I felt dizzy. Like I'd been living in a story where I was the main character. And suddenly I realized I was the side character. "How much?" I asked. Voice low. She didn't answer. I picked up my phone and opened our bank app. The one linked to the joint savings we created for the wedding. We'd agreed we'd both put money in monthly. I scrolled. There it was. Small transfers, not huge, just enough to be hard to notice if you weren't watching like a hawk. $150, $200, $175. A trail of little bites taken out of the same account. I looked at her. Did you take money out of our wedding account without telling me? Her eyes filled with tears, but the tears weren't the kind that fix anything. They were the kind that show up when someone realizes the lie is collapsing. I was going to put it back, she whispered. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling for a second, like maybe the ceiling had an answer. How much did you take? I asked. She wiped her cheek. Like 1,000. 1,000, I repeated. It wasn't all at once, she said quickly. And Trevor was helping, so it wasn't like, so you took $1,000 from our account, I said. And you let your ex pay for other things, and you didn't tell me. Her voice got defensive. You're making it sound so ugly. I laughed again, and this time it had an edge. Amanda, it is ugly. She stood up, chair scraping. You don't get it. You've never been a bride. Everyone expects it to be perfect. Everyone? I said. Who is everyone? She threw her hands out toward the living room, toward the invisible audience in her head. My family, my friends. People are coming from out of town. Do you want them to show up and think we're cheap? There it was again. Not, do you want them to celebrate us? Do you want them to think we're cheap? That's when I realized this wedding wasn't about us for her. It was about a scoreboard. And Trevor was just the guy willing to put points on it. I sat there while she paced, while she justified, while she cried and got angry and cried again like she was trying on emotions to see which one worked. And in the middle of all that, my phone buzzed. A text from my best man, Marcus. Bro, did you guys move the bachelor party to Miami? Amanda just asked Jenna about flight dates. I stared at the message, confused. We didn't move anything. We weren't going to Miami. We were going to a cabin in Pennsylvania with a cooler of beer and a grill, like normal men who aren't pretending to be rappers. I looked up at Amanda. What is Marcus talking about? Her face shifted, just slightly. Nothing. I felt my stomach drop. I opened my email, typed flight into the search bar, and there it was. An email thread with a travel agency. 2 plane tickets reserved. Miami. A hotel deposit. Under her name. Paid. And I already knew whose name would be on the payment confirmation before I even opened it. Trevor. I didn't say anything at first. I just turned my phone toward her again. She stared at it, then looked away like a kid caught with candy. You were going to Miami, I said. It was going to be our honeymoon, she whispered. Our honeymoon, I repeated. With your ex paying, she snapped. He owed me. That came out like a confession. I stared at her. What do you mean he owed you? Her breathing got quick. Her eyes darted around. She'd said too much. And then she did what people do when they realize they can't keep control. She started telling the truth, but only in pieces, and only in a way that made her look like the victim. He wasted years of my life, she said. He promised me things. He had money and he always acted like it was nothing. He made me feel like I was crazy for wanting stability. I watched her, hearing her talk like she was in a courtroom. So you're getting it back, I said slowly. You're letting him pay for things so you can feel like you won. She flinched. That's not what it is. But it was. It was about winning. And I was just the guy standing in the way of her victory lap. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the couch, laptop open, going through every vendor email, every contract, every receipt. What I found felt like reading a version of my life written by someone else. Payments made that I didn't authorize. Upgrades I never agreed to. Deposits that came from accounts I didn't know existed. She had been building a wedding I couldn't afford, with money that wasn't ours. And she did it with a smile and, we're fine. Around 2:14 a.m., I saw an email from the venue. Final payment due in 10 days. 10 days. I did the math. If we didn't pay, we lost the date. We lost the deposit. We lost thousands. I looked at the account balance, the one we were supposed to be building together, and I realized, even if we got married, this wasn't stopping. This wasn't a wedding problem. This was a character problem. I heard her walk out of the bedroom around 3:00 a.m. She stood in the doorway, hair messy, mascara smudged, arms folded like she was bracing herself. "You're really doing this," she said quietly. I didn't look up. "I'm looking at our finances." She walked closer. "You're punishing me." I finally looked at her. "Amanda, I'm protecting myself." She swallowed. "So what, you're going to call it off?" I stared at her for a long moment. This is the part where people expect some big speech. I didn't have one. I just said, "I can't marry someone who makes decisions like this and hides them from me." Her eyes filled again. "You're throwing everything away because I wanted a nice wedding?" I shook my head. "No. I'm walking away because you chose your image over your honesty." She scoffed through tears. "You're acting like I'm some villain." I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "You let another man pay for our life behind my back. You took money from our account. You lied to me with a straight face. If that's not villain behavior, what is?" She opened her mouth, then closed it like she was searching for a new script and realizing she'd run out of lines. The next morning, I called my parents. Then I called hers. That was the first social consequence. Not the money, not the vendors, the explaining. Because when you call off a wedding 5 weeks out, you don't just cancel an event. You detonate a whole network of expectations. Her mom cried. My mom went quiet in a way that felt heavier than crying. Her dad asked, "Did you cheat on her?" And I said no. Then he asked, "Did she cheat on you?" I paused, because I still didn't have proof of physical cheating. But I knew something else had happened, something that felt like betrayal even if it didn't involve a bed. I said, "She involved her ex in our wedding finances." There was silence. Then her dad exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. "That sounds like Amanda," he muttered. That sentence hit me harder than anything else. That means this wasn't new. It means she'd been like this, and I just didn't see it because I wanted the version of her that laughed at my dumb jokes and held my hand at target like we were a team. The next consequence was the friend group. Amanda had a tight group of bridesmaids who treated her wedding like a reality show. Group chats, mood boards, weekly brunches where they talked like they were casting a movie. By noon, my phone was blowing up. "Jenna, what did you do to her?" "Kayla, she's devastated." "You're really going to embarrass her?" A number I didn't recognize. "You'll regret this." I didn't respond to most of them. I sent one text to Jenna because Jenna was the only one who'd ever seemed real. I didn't cheat. I found out her ex was paying for parts of the wedding and she was hiding it. That's all. Jenna didn't reply for an hour. Then she texted, "Wait, what?" That "wait" told me Amanda had left out some details when she told her story. I spent the rest of the day calling vendors, asking about refunds, figuring out where deposits came from. And that's when the financial consequence turned into a full-body problem. Some vendors were kind, some were cold. Some treated me like I was trying to scam them. The venue deposit was non-refundable, $4,500 gone. The photographer, $1,000 retainer gone. The florist deposit, technically refundable, but it was paid by Trevor, and the refund would go back to the card used. Meaning even in canceling, I couldn't untangle myself cleanly from the mess she created. Then came the apartment problem. We had a lease, both names. If she stayed, I'd still be responsible. If I stayed, I'd be living in a place that felt like a lie. I sat at the kitchen counter with a legal pad, writing numbers like I was trying to solve a math problem that kept changing. 2 days later, Amanda came home with a different energy. Less tears, more confidence. Like she'd talked to someone who told her exactly what to say. She stood in the doorway, purse still on her shoulder, and said, "I'm not letting you make me the bad guy." I looked up from my laptop. "I'm not making you anything." She walked in and tossed her phone on the couch. "You're acting like Trevor is some monster." I didn't even blink. "I don't care about Trevor. I care about what you did." She crossed her arms. "He was generous. You're insecure." That word, insecure, was her new weapon. Like wanting basic honesty is insecurity. She continued, "If you were more of a provider, we wouldn't even be having this conversation." My stomach clenched. Because now we weren't talking about behavior. We were talking about identity. She was telling me to my face that my worth as a man was measured by what I paid for, and that I failed. I stood up slowly. "I'm not doing this." She laughed sharp. "Of course you're not. You run when things get hard." I stared at her. "Things didn't get hard. You made them dishonest." She stepped closer. "So what? You're perfect? You've never messed up? I nodded once. I've messed up plenty, but I've never looked you in the eye and lied while another man financed our life. Her eyes narrowed. You're obsessed with him? No, I said. I'm obsessed with the fact that you chose him when it mattered. Her mouth opened, then closed. I saw it then, just for a second. Fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of losing control of the narrative. And that's when I realized something else. I wasn't just canceling a wedding. I was stepping out of a story she'd been writing where she was always the main character, always the victim, always deserving, and everyone else existed to support her arc. A week later, the final escalation hit. I got a call from my bank. A real call, not a scam. The woman said, "We're calling about a dispute on your credit card." My heart jumped. What dispute? She read the merchant name. A bridal boutique. A charge for $2,350. Disputed. I felt my throat close. I didn't dispute anything. There was a pause. "Sir, the dispute request came from a device logged into your account." My mind went blank for a second. Then it clicked. Amanda knew my password. I sat down hard on the couch. The woman continued. "The dispute says the purchase was unauthorized." I swallowed. It wasn't unauthorized. It was her dress. There was another pause. "So you want to cancel the dispute?" I closed my eyes. Because if I canceled it, I was paying for a dress for a wedding that no longer existed. If I didn't cancel it, it would be fraud. And the only person who would have filed it was Amanda. I told the woman carefully, "I need to speak to the disputes department and document everything." I hung up and stared at my hands. That was my point of rupture. Not the insult at the table, not the deposits, not Trevor's name on receipts. The fact that she was willing to cross a legal line to protect her image and her money. I texted her, "Did you file a dispute on my credit card?" 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "I was just trying to fix it." Fix it? Fix what? The consequences of her choices, by dragging me into something that could mess up my credit, my reputation, my life. That night, I packed. Not dramatically, not angrily, quietly. I folded shirts like I was folding a chapter closed. I took my laptop, my work stuff, my documents, anything that mattered. I left the ring box on the dresser, not because I wanted to be noble, but because I didn't want one more tie. When I walked out, she stood in the hallway, arms crossed again like armor. "You're really leaving," she said, like she couldn't believe I wasn't playing my assigned role. I nodded. "Yeah." She scoffed. "Good luck finding someone who doesn't want nice things." I looked at her for a long moment, and for the first time I didn't feel love or anger. I felt clarity. I said, "It's not the nice things, Amanda. It's the way you'll burn people to get them." Her face tightened. "You're dramatic." I nodded once. "Maybe, but I'm free." I walked out. Outside it was cold, that kind of spring cold that's pretending to be warm but still bites. I sat in my car and just breathed. No music, no phone. Just breathing like I'd been underwater and finally reached the surface. Over the next month, I did the boring work of rebuilding. I met with the landlord and got off the lease. I changed every password. I called the vendors and handled the mess like an adult, even when it felt unfair. I pulled my credit report and locked everything down. I moved into a smaller place. 1 bedroom, 2nd floor, no fancy anything. The kind of apartment you pick when you want peace more than appearances. The first night there, I ate cereal straight out of the box and sat on the floor because my couch hadn't arrived yet. And I felt calm, not happy, not triumphant, just calm. Amanda tried to pull me back in, of course. First with tears. "I miss you. I made mistakes. I was stressed." Then with anger. "You ruined my life." Then with bargaining. "If you come back, we can do something smaller." I didn't respond to most of it. Not because I was trying to be cold. Because every message felt like it was written to win, not to understand. I heard through mutual friends that she started telling people I was controlling about money, that I couldn't provide, that I panicked. It stung at first, then it didn't, because I knew the truth. And the people who mattered, the ones who actually cared about me, saw it too. Marcus came over one night with a 6-pack and a pizza. He looked around my new place, empty walls, mismatched chairs, and he smiled. "This is the most peaceful I've seen you in years," he said. I didn't answer right away because my throat tightened. He wasn't wrong. In that relationship, I'd been tense all the time, like I was constantly one purchase away from failing some invisible test. Now I could breathe. A month after I left, I got a final email from the venue, a refund for a small portion of something. It was like $300, not much. But when I saw it hit my account, I laughed. Not because of the money, because it felt symbolic, like the universe handing me back a tiny piece of myself. One night I was walking home from the grocery store, bags in my hands, and I passed a couple outside a restaurant. They were laughing, leaning into each other, not performing for anyone, just existing. And for the first time, I didn't feel jealous. I felt hopeful, because I realized something. Love isn't supposed to feel like you're constantly being measured. Marriage isn't supposed to be a stage where you prove your worth with receipts. And if someone needs an ex in the background to feel spoiled, then what they're really saying is, they don't know how to feel safe without being bought. I got home, put the groceries away, and stood at my kitchen sink in my quiet little apartment. The same kind of silence as that night at the IKEA table. But this time, the silence didn't feel like a threat. It felt like peace. And I thought about that one question I asked. Not because it was clever, but because it was honest. What did he buy you last week? And how one honest question can pull the curtain back on everything you've been avoiding. Because sometimes the scariest thing isn't losing someone. It's realizing you were about to give your life to someone who was already keeping score against you. If this story made you feel something, subscribe. More stories like this are coming.